Good evening, folks, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Pilot Review Show. I am Captain Blade J52, joined by at least one of my merry cohorts this evening. We have our resident teacher of the Kirby variety.
Hello! Hi, folks. How's it going?
And we also have a Neela with us in the channel, who I am not sure didn't just kill out at his desk again. But
as I said on Twitter, we have a missing Neela. If you see him, please return him to the Lost and Found.
Yep. So he might be joining us. You might hear snoring at some point. I don't know. But anyways, Artie is out of town this week. His expertise was needed at a meeting to combat the Borg, so he will not be joining us this week. But anyways, we've got a decent few articles and everything, not too awful much to get through this week, but we do have some stuff, so we'll go ahead and get started. Alrighty, first and foremost, we have a research and development weekend for you fine folks out there on the console. This is going to started on Thursday the 13th, and will be running until Monday the 17th. So essentially, you get additional research and development packs and everything. So if you do a elite mission, you'll get the normal elite mission reward. You'll also get a secondary pack that'll give you some extra nice little stuff and everything. So that is a very nice something that they give you there. But also, if you're completing a research and development project this weekend, you'll get 50% additional school XP. So if the mission would normally give you 5,000 XP for the Beam School, as one hypothetical, you'll get an additional 2,500 for a total of 7,500 points to that individual school. But now is definitely a good time to stock up and get that XP.
Yes. Definitely don't forget that the harvest nodes in the missions that give little bits of R&D will also give 2 extra R&D materials and 10 dilithium ore, and have a chance to give out an R&D catalyst. So nice things that happen during an R&D weekend.
Indeed. So yeah, definitely get out there, get stocked up on those materials, make sure to do your researches, because now's a great time to do that. But anyways, you guys can check out the blog and everything for further details. We'll have that in the notes for our console players and everything. And speaking of fun weekend events, we have the Marks Weekend.
Yes, the Marks Weekend is for our PC players. So PC players, you may notice this weekend that when you go and run your STFs, you get 50% more marks. So that is intended 1.5 times, and this is fleet or reputation. So it does not matter which. And this will be above normal amounts. This also applies if you are doing the summer event. This does also apply to the monkeys and the birds. So if you have been doing those or diligently turning those in or saving those up for something like this, now's the time to turn them in. You get, 90 marks for a regular bird or monkey and 150 for a tufted bird or a monkey with a tiki mask. This also affects, if you haven't been doing it, the flying high. If you've already gotten or claimed the ship, you can still do the flying high for extra I can't words tonight. For extra vouchers, there we go, and turn the vouchers in for marks, and the marks are increased by this bonus Marks Weekend. So you can get 60 marks from that. And here's a hint, the flying high gives competitive marks. So
Words hard.
Anyway. What?
Words hard. Not that I would give you grief or anything. Okay, maybe a little, but...
Hey, come on now. Anyway. But yeah, Marks Weekend, so when you do an STF or turn in those birds and monkeys or vouchers, you will get 1.5 times your normal marks. And this runs from Thursday, July 13th until Monday, July 17th at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Yep, so if you're looking to stock up on those marks, maybe get some extra stuff done for your fleet, maybe finishing off that last little reputation project that just absolutely annoys the living crap out of you, whatever it is, definitely stock up now.
Yes.
But moving along, we have our PC patch notes for the 13th. There's not really a lot there. What you see on the screen, that's pretty much everything that there is. But they did resolve some bugs. Actually, that's pretty much exclusively what they did. Resolved an issue that prevented players who owned the Zindi Aquatic Briostris Dreadnought Carrier, Tier 6, to not be able to purchase Zindi Aquatic Mobili frigates, I about said fighters. Resolved an issue that caused the Console Universal Enhanced Zindi weapon platform to fail to boost tactical readiness. So, if you were somebody that had equipped that console and noticed you weren't getting the bonus, then that was a bug. That was not intentional. You should be getting that bonus now. Resolved an issue that could sometimes cause a delay in getting the Mark reward pop-up after completing a queue. And resolved an issue that caused the Sistress's long description to repeat almost an entire sentence at the beginning of the second paragraph.
That was not deja vu, folks. It actually repeated.
But yep. Not really a lot to them. Biggest one that sticks out to me is the Zindi weapon platform, but yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, teacher?
I was going to say, yeah, the Zindi weapon platform, so it's now boosting as it's supposed to. Other than that, I mean, there's not really a whole lot. I mean, I was going to say earlier when you mentioned how long they were, I was going to say, yeah, I just got exhausted reading it so long. I missed my chance. But, yeah. And that, I mean, I guess not being able to purchase the Mobili frigates would be quite annoying to people. But, I mean, other than that, it's, yeah, definitely quality of life. Yep. If you hear squeaking in the background, it's just my dog getting his toys and my husband playing with him.
But,
okay.
Anyways, we will have these notes in the description and everything once we get our local recording up for you fine folks out there in YouTube land later on. But, yeah, like I said, not really a lot to them and everything, so, yeah. But, moving along, we have our new featured episode, Brushfire.
Yes, Brushfire. So, this starts off with a R&D blog, or a fiction blog, and now I have read it, and it definitely is what looks like a good lead into what we've had leaked, or what we know that Brushfire will include already. So it does bring in Lady Sorella. It does talk about they're bringing a certain somebody home, or they found a certain somebody, you know. And then at the end, it does talk about how, as the Zenkathi threat menaces the Alpha Quadrant, a new hope presents itself in the Beta Quadrant. And then says we're releasing it on July 18th. And it will continue the New Frontiers storyline. Includes great rewards that you can earn over the next several weeks. So, and just remember featured episodes are available to all players level 10 and up. Romulan players must have selected a faction. But after that, it'll be in their normal mission journal progression. So, if you have a low level tune now, queue up the episode. Keep it in that queue. Do it at least once while it's a featured episode. And even if you don't get the gear, just go through it at least once. That way you can replay it later if you want to. But usually we recommend getting the gear because that gear will level up with you for free up to level 12. But yeah, definitely this looks like it's going to be an interesting episode. We're going to find out what really happened to Martok. And yeah.
Yep. Now, we don't really like to say too awful much as far as details when it comes to these blogs. We don't like to spoil those for people that may not have read it and everything. That way, if you want to do that, you're still able to do so and everything. So, we kind of like to give, I guess, little teasers, we could say, and everything. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, this is definitely looking like it's going to be a good mission. Definitely glad to see the voice talents of J.G. Hertzler back in the game. And, yeah, hopefully we'll see some more of the Trek alumni in-game pretty soon.
Yes, definitely.
But we will have this in our notes and everything on the local recording once that goes up for you guys that want to check that out and everything. But moving along, we have the Sona Lockbox. Now, this is going to be coming to the PC first, and I had heard a little bit of scuttlebutt as to these particular ships and everything beforehand, what all was going to be coming and whatnot. But can't exactly divulge my sources because reasons and, well, you know. But all joking aside and everything, these ships, they're looking like they're going to be pretty good. If you remember the Star Trek Insurrection movie, these are the, what they call the face-stretching aliens that use the subspace weapons. We've got the Sona Command Science Vessel. Then we also have, we actually have some of the information on the console. This is the Deep Analytics Sensor Package, and whenever you activate it, it emits a field 3 kilometers in every direction, which lasts for a moderate duration. All allies within this field, including yourself, are granted increased shield penetration and armor penetration as long as they remain within the field. Meanwhile, all foes within the field will have one beneficial effect removed every second, starting with the longest remaining duration, and enemies will also suffer penalties to ability recharge times. That's broke.
Yeah.
But,
It's broke.
But yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting, I'll say that much. It says the console also provides a passive boost to maximum aux power, control X, and shield hardness. May be equipped on any Sona starship. That also gives you the kick 'em while they're down trait. Activating any foe targeted control bridge officer ability on an enemy that is affected by a control ability will grant you an increased critical chance for a moderate period of time, and that effect can stack. Now, they've not exactly given us the durations, so we're not entirely sure what moderate is going to be considered, or how much it can stack. Usually, anytime I've seen something like that, I would say at least 3 stacks and everything.
Yeah, 3 to 5 is usually their go-to for something like this.
Yep. And then
but yeah, I mean,
oh, go ahead.
This is one of the problems with a blog like this, is it says moderate period of time, but moderate is one of those things we call a subjective term. It means different things to somebody else. I could think moderate means 20 seconds, Darkblade could think moderate means 10 seconds. The devs could think moderate means 15. You know, I mean, so
Yep.
it you know, it kind of depends, and it's one of those trying to guess what the devs are thinking descriptions. So we try not to get all, oh, this is going to be great, or oh, this is going to be horrible, until we know what they're thinking by moderate, and we know what they're thinking by several.
Yep.
You know,
It could be that
Yeah.
this turns into the next Plasmonic Leech, as we all remember how strong that console was and everything before some of the changes. And it could be that it's just another run-over-your-mill, gimmicky type console. We don't know. And everything yet. But, in addition to the Science Ship, words, we also have the Sona Intel Battlecruiser that will be coming to the Lobi store. Everything, and it says, the powerful vessels are the vanguard of the Sona fleet, capable of withstanding heavy fire while simultaneously undermining their foe's ability to put up a strong fight, all without sacrificing offensive power. We see some of the stuff that it gets is the Subspace Barrier Agitator. This is the console that it gives. Building from their knowledge of dangerous subspace weaponry, the Sona developed this specialized piece of deflector technology capable of analyzing localized space near an enemy to find weak points in the barrier between normal space and subspace. Then, using an automated quantum drill, these weak points are violently torn open to create volatile anomalies that will seek out enemies and damage them while draining their subsystem energy. It also provides a passive boost to shield power, drain X, and shield capacity. Then we also get the subspatial warheads. This is the trait for this. It is damage caused by your high-yield torpedoes and transport warheads will cause a subspace tear to form near the damaged target. This anomaly will chase down the nearest foe, causing physical damage and draining engine power to any enemy that it encounters. And then they are going to give us stats on this later on. Some of the other nice stuff we have is a couple of ground traits, the Invigorating Radiation and the Introception. Everything, and basically they remove buffs from you, or remove debuffs, I should say, at the cost, words, of some regeneration and stuff.
at the cost of resistance damage.
Resistance.
So you gain outgoing damage
words.
and regeneration rate, yeah.
Yep.
It sounds very similar to Anchored.
Yep. Apparently I can't words tonight for some reason, but yeah. And then, essentially, the space traits do the exact same thing, except in space. Then, some of the other odds and ends we get are the Transport Inhibitor Field. This was something we saw a little bit of in the movie. We get the Stasis Drones and the Isolation Field Generators. We're also going to be getting the Isolytic Plasma Weapons. You can see some of them there in the photos. And also some of the uniform stuff for our space Barbies out there. But, anyways, there's a good bit of stuff coming in the lockbox and everything. We'll definitely have that in the notes for you guys and whatnot. I would encourage you all to read that so you can kind of decide if you might want to invest in the ships based off the first little descriptions here. But, some of your thoughts, teacher.
Well, as I said, without the more objective terms, numbers and data, it is hard to tell, but they do at least look interesting. I'd kind of like to see what they do, how they promise to allow us to, how is it they put, undermine their foe's ability to put up a strong fight without sacrificing offensive power. So I'd kind of like to see what what kind of base they give us for that. But yeah.
Indeed. But yeah, we will have this up in the notes for you guys, so you can check it out. Like we're saying, this is just the first blog. They've not really given us any stats to work with yet. But as soon as we have the actual stats, we'll be sure to let you guys know and everything, and get that stuff out to you all. But it's pretty much what we've got for our articles this evening. Like we're saying, not really much this week going on as far as blogs. But moving along, we have our budget build for this week. Now, this particular budget build actually came about at the request of a friend of ours and everything, and what he requested was a mid-range build for the Gorkon Tier 6 flagship. This is the KDF version of the Odyssey, or the Artie, I should say. Now, he wanted us to keep it somewhat canon as far as the build itself goes, so we went with disruptors for the build, everything. Now, up front, we have weapons, the Nausicaan Disruptor Beam, the Nausicaan Disruptor Torpedo, and 2 of the Plasma Disruptors. Then, in the rear, we also have the Resonant Disruptor Beam and 3 of the Plasma Disruptors back there. Now, the Nausicaan set and everything, it gives a lot of nice buffs and everything to it. And everything. In fact, I believe I am actually using the Nausicaan set, part of it anyway, on my current ship, so I can show you some of the numbers and show you the set bonuses. As far as the set bonuses and everything, you do get the Disruptor Net, which does a bit of damage to the enemy as well as disabling them for a few seconds. Then if you have the full 3-piece, you get 26.6% Disruptor damage and plus 50 Starship hull penetration for your Starship weapons. So a decent bit of hull pen, everything, and a decent boost to your disruptors, so pretty good there. And then I'll also show you guys the Resonance set a little bit, since I've got numbers for you there. As far as the Resonance set goes, the 2 set isn't really too awful much to write home about. It's the 3.6 weapon power setting that you get just for having it. Yeah, can't words tonight. Everything. But the big thing that is good about the Resonant set and everything, I should have rephrased that and said the passive isn't really too much to write home about, but the 2 sets is pretty decent. The Resonance Disruption Wave increases energy damage dealt to shields by 15%. So, you do have that. You can do additional damage to their shields, and it's basically a nice little kick in the pants to the enemy. But that's what we have as far as weapons and everything go. But and we should note that the torpedo itself actually deals disruptor damage, so it will play off of your tactical consoles, which is very nice. But completing the Nausicaan and the Resonant sets, we also have the Nausicaan Siphon Capacitor. Now this gives some additional disruptor damage as well as a bit of power transfer, and I believe it gave some Drain X as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it did.
I believe so, yeah.
So, my console is slightly upgraded compared to the default one, but you can see it gives a pretty decent amount of Drain X there. And this essentially gives you another tactical console's worth of damage, especially if you have all 3 pieces. So you're getting a lot of disruptor-specific damage there. But and as far as the Harmonic Resonance Relay, we could take a look at that too while we're in game. And this is a maxed out version, so the Mark 12 Very Rare will be slightly different. everything. You can see some extra disruptor damage, some transphasic projectile damage, and some armor penetration for the weapons, which is the big reason we wanted the console. But, anyways, that's for the weapon sets, what we have. As far as the deflector, the shields, the engines, and everything, we decided to go with the Quantum Phase space set in this case, because it gives some nice attacks that you can throw at the enemy, gives you a nice bit of drain expertise off of the deflector, gives a nice little bonus for being at full impulse with the engines and everything. And we used the shield to get the 3-piece bonus because that attack is pretty nasty. And then, since this set doesn't come with a warp core, as always, we had to source one out. And one of my personal favorites, and in my opinion, probably the best warp core you can get for free in the game, is actually the Temporal Phase Overcharged core. This comes from the Butterfly mission. Now, if you're familiar with the Delta recruitment event a few years ago, then you know about a little device known as the Temporal Negotiator. Now, the Temporal Negotiator would cut your bridge officer cooldowns in half for the duration of the device. This does the same, except in the form of a warp core capacitor. So, kind of got that going. You guys could probably guess the theme by now for our mid-range build and everything, which is we're going more towards the drain aspect of things. But for our devices, we always do like to think that they are personal preference. One device we will always recommend is the Subspace Field Modulator. This is a nice little defensive device whenever you use it. Gives some resistances and everything. It does, however, debuff you pretty heavily against proton damage. It's I think a negative 400 debuff. Now, there's not really a lot of enemies that use proton damage in game, but that's why we hadn't really mentioned that before in a lot of our previous shows. But since some more enemies have started using protonic-based effects, it is something we do want people to be aware of when using the device. For our engineering consoles, this is one of our money consoles. We have a conductive RCS with this is supposed to be Drain X, but the builder still has the plus flow for this. Now, this was one of our more expensive consoles. We did have the actual costs in the notes that we'll take a look at in a few minutes. Then we have the 0-point console from the Romulan Reputation. This does give a little bit of critical chance, but it also gives a pretty decent amount of Drain X, which is always nice, and is easy to obtain as a rep console. We also have our assimilated module for the critical chance and critical severity it gives, as well as some other nice buffs. We have our Trellium deplating from the Ragnarok mission. Now, this particular console, what makes it so decent, especially on the budget end, is it's essentially a field generator and a neutronium armor smashed into one console. So you get a pretty decent amount of damage resistances, and you get some increased shield capacity as well. So you get the best of both worlds and everything there. As far as our science consoles, we already took a look at our siphon capacitor, but the other two consoles we have are two of the restorative particle focusers from the Crenum Science Lab. These are the Drain X ×2 consoles to buff our Drain X to go with the theme that we're building. Now, these will proc off of your healing powers. And then finally, for our tactical consoles, we had the Harmonic Resonance Relay, as well as 3 of the Disruptor Induction Coils. Now, thankfully, with some of the newer missions, such as Echoes of Light, we can actually get Disruptor-specific consoles in an easy-to-farm mission.
Yes. Any energy-specific console really is a good thing, because there's one of them we can get phasers from, the phaser-specific, and so this one's disruptor-specific, and I'm really glad that Cryptic has started doing that, because prior to this it was virtually impossible to get weapon-specific tactical consoles for a budget build as a mission reward.
Indeed. I know some of y'all probably saw it most of the time, especially depending on the energy type, and to some extent we still do this, is we use the plus beam consoles or something like that from yesterday's War Arc or any mission that gives them, such as I know Polarons we still have to do it for and everything.
Anti-proton.
Anti-proton. I think Plasma the other one.
Yeah.
I think so. So, point being, there's still a couple of energy types out there that you can't yet get energy-specific consoles from as a mission reward, but they are doing a lot better. I would say give it a little bit of time, and eventually you'll have missions out there where you can get those consoles. But, anyways, that's what we have as far as the actual gear goes. But let's go ahead and take a look at the bridge officer powers. Now, for this particular ship and everything, the user had requested that we make it more science-focused. So, to keep in line with that, we made our Lieutenant Commander Universal / Command seat into a science seat. Now, for this particular seat, we gave him a science team, everything that gives some nice shield regen, and everything, as well as purging certain debuffs, such as subnucleonic-based effects. Then we also have our Hazard Emitters 2, which cleanses the ship of a lot of debuffs and gives some heal over time. Then we also have our Charged Particle Burst as one nice little thing that will drain the shields. Then, moving on down, we have our Ensign Universal seat. This is a Fire at Will 1 and everything. Because of how he wanted to run the ship, it's kind of limited in terms of tactical options and everything in this particular type of build, but still, nonetheless, Fire at Will 1 is very viable. Still, you're just going to need to offset that penalty a bit. Then for the Lieutenant Tactical seat, we gave him a Torpedo Spread 1 to make use of the torpedo. And then we also have the Attack Pattern Beta 1. Now, we have some other abilities in place that we've not yet looked at because we don't have a tactical team. So we've kind of had to offset for that a little bit, but we'll show those abilities in just a minute. For our Commander Engineering seat, we have an Engineering Team 1. This gives a bit of our hull back, as well as purges a few debuffs. Then we have Emergency to Weapons 2 and Emergency to Weapons 3, because we don't really have anything that's going to cool our engineering powers down too terribly fast. So we wanted to be able to maintain that a good bit. Then we also have our Aux to Structural Integrity 3. This Aux to Civ, very nice defensive power and everything, gives some temporary hit points, everything, as well as a bit of damage resist. So, very nice power to have. And if need be, if survival does become an issue, then you could swap out the Emergency to Weapons 2 for another defensive power, such as a duplicate Aux to Civ, and then rotate through those, having only, I think it's a 5-second downtime is what it comes out to?
Yeah, 5-second downtime with that. Because that becomes 10-second. No, actually, I think it'd be up 100% of the time.
Well, either 100%
Anyway,
of the time or
check.
5 seconds. So, either way,
Yeah.
very minimal downtime. So, that is one option that is available if survival becomes an issue here. And everything. But, finally, we have our Lieutenant Commander Science Station. Now, this is where we put a lot of the more damaging powers. Now, we did give him a Transfer Shield Strength 1 and everything to kind of recharge the shields a little bit, and as well as maybe cleansing a few debuffs and everything. Then we have our Destabilized Resonance Beam 1. This comes from, I believe it's the Blood of the Ancients mission. And then finally we have a Tychon's Rift 2 and everything. So hopefully you guys can see what we're going with as far as our bridge officer powers and how we're trying to lean into some drain heavy powers.
Some drain heavy powers, yeah. With everything we put into drain that Tychon's Rift and the Charged Particle Burst, should really slow the enemies down, and then the destabilized resonance beam will give a bit of an extra debuff to the enemies that'll allow you to really get at them with that fire at will and torp spray.
Indeed. But that's pretty much what we have as far as bridge officer powers and everything. But as far as our skills go, some of this is kind of standard as far as what we've got. You can see for our lieutenant level, we've got a couple of points into hull cap and shield cap, a point into hull regen and shield regen, everything. Then we've also maxed out our energy weapon training. Now, we did give him 2 points into improved EPS flow to give him power regeneration. We wanted 1 point in impulse expertise because that is a very slow to turn ship. It can be made to turn pretty decent, but it is still very slow without some type of buffs in that area. We gave him a couple of points in control expertise. That way if he did decide later on, oh hey, I want a gravity well, the Tychon's Rift isn't really doing it for me, or I don't really care for charged particle burst, I'm going to swap that out, or pretty much just gives him room to experiment so that he's not locked into just one specific type of science playstyle. Then we also put all 3 points into our drain area. We've got the improved drain expertise, and then we also have our drain infection. Now, drain infection, it may not be the most potent ability out there, but he's going to be doing a lot of drain powers anyway. So we figured, why not pick it up and pick up just that extra little bit of damage. Then for the targeting expertise, we maxed out all 3 points in this because you want to offset that fall penalty a good bit and everything, and especially since he's only using rank 1, he's going to need that. Then to give a little bit more defensive power, we did pick up all 3 points in our hull plating. That's very nice stuff to have. And we also have 2 points into our shield hardness to give more defensive power in that area. Then we also maxed out our weapon amplification and our specialization. Now, this is still showing the old bonuses from pre-Season 13. Now, this actual crit chance bonus it gives in the game today is only 4%, but it's still very much worth having. The bonus that the amplification gives today is actually a 40% bonus. So, very, very potent, very much so worth the investment. Then on the captain tier, we have a point in defensive tuning, and then we have the offensive tuning, because free power is always nice. Then we maxed out our exotic particle gens, because a lot of those powers do play very nicely with EPG. Then we also have the maxed out long-range targeting sensors. This reduces the weapon drop-off. Then because of the disruptor weapon set, as well as some of the other abilities giving a lot of armor pin and everything, this is the reason we have the advanced hull pin here. Normally I prefer to go with the shield pin. It's just personal preference for me. Whereas Kirby oh, go ahead.
With this build, the other important thing to remember is we're going to be draining a lot of power. So shields on this particular build, with shields on your foe, aren't really going to be an issue.
Indeed. Plus, in this case, that's just that much extra hull pin that is going to go very nice with the disruptor proc, especially some of the bonuses that it gives you, such as the armor pin from the resonance relay. And I do see one particular question in chat and everything. Sorry it took me a second to actually see that, dude. I've got some... I know you guys actually can't see this, so if I'm ever slow to respond to a question or something, please don't take it personally. I've actually got 4 monitors that I do all this stuff on. Like, one is the TeamSpeak and the Twitch. The other one is actually the articles that you see. The third monitor is actually the local recorder, and then the fourth is actually the stream, so I can see you guys. But
it's like air traffic control.
I guess you could say that.
Anyway.
Space traffic control, I guess, in this case. But the question was, what about Energy Siphon instead of DRB? helps you keep the power levels high without a leech or supremacy. That is something that you could do if power levels become an issue and everything, but I personally don't see it being an issue that much and everything, but I'll let Kirby explain a little bit.
I was going to say he's got quite a few things that are draining already. Energy siphon, with the exception of the drain infection that's been added, energy siphon doesn't do any actual damage. Granted, it does drain the opponent's power, but we kind of wanted to go with something that would do a little bit of extra damage, and that would do a little bit of extra debuff because he only has the single attack pattern.
Indeed. But yeah, I mean, if that is a power you could use if you wanted to, most definitely. It is a viable option and everything. The one thing I will say as far as the budget builds when we do these, you don't have to do it exactly like what we have. What we do is we do the budget builds as more of a template. That way we can give you guys somewhat of an idea to work with. So in this case, say you did want to fly a Gorkin cruiser and everything, you can take the budget build that we have here and it's like, oh, well, they use this. It's like, oh, I might want to use this power. And then if, say, you're concerned about power issues, you might think, okay, well, I want to swap out this DRB for brain fart, the energy siphon. Thank you. And yeah, that's a very viable option and a very good question. But
the other thing I did forget, energy siphon is single target, whereas DRB is area of effect.
Yeah.
So we do consider these things when we're making the build.
Yeah.
But thank you for the question.
Yeah, there are methods to our madness. I will put it that way. Yeah, we do, like I say, we do appreciate the question and everything, and that is a very viable option. But anyways, continuing along with our admiral tier, words. For our final 4 points, we picked up the warp core potential and the warp core efficiency. Everything. This gives a little bit of extra power to them, and also gives something at the lower power levels. This is one of the other abilities that I was mentioning earlier that does come into play for some of this stuff. Then we also have 2 points in our improved scientific readiness that'll help recharge the science powers just a little bit quicker and everything. So it's what we've it's what we've got as far as the skills and everything. Then for the specializations, we decided to go with an Intel primary and a Temp Ops secondary. Now, we felt that a lot of the abilities from Intel would play a lot nicer as far as being a primary, and we did pick up some of the nice buffs from Temp Ops as well. Everything. But that's what we have as far as specializations go. Everything, if you want to mix and match, you can definitely do that. This is just what we personally would recommend in this particular build. Then, as far as the traits go, we have the accurate trait. This offsets our fall penalty even more. Now, this was built with a science captain in mind, so he has the photonic capacitor trait to work with and everything. Now, the photonic capacitor trait, if you are not a science officer and you want to use this build, you'll just swap in your career-specific trait, such as if you're a tactical or if you're an engineer. Then we also have the beam training for free damage to his weapons. We also have fleet coordinator, which is free damage based on how many people are in your party, which does include yourself. We also have point blank shot from the House Peg mission. Then we have the beam barrage ability. Now, we always like to assume that when you're bringing up the character, you're going to level 1, maybe 2 of the R&D schools. And in this case, we assumed that the beam barrage is the school you decided to go with. Or the beam school, I should say. Then, getting into some of our money traits, this is where we pick up some more abilities. This is the ablative shell trait. This, whenever it goes off, it gives you a bit of a heal over time and some damage resistance. It's a trait that I actually still use. Very powerful. We have the self-modulating fire. Gives a nice little bit of shield pin and everything after landing a critical hit on the target. Then we have our fluidic cocoon, which is another nice defensive power. And we have our pattern recognition as our final trait. Now, this is an alien character that he built this for, so he does have an additional trait slot to work with. As far as starship traits go, we have the predictive algorithms from Intel. This offsets our thaw penalty even further. And then we also have the best defense. This is another nice free starship trait from the House Peg mission, and it grants a hull healing buff along with the usual effects of our attack patterns. So, very nice. Then for our rep abilities, all of these come from the Tier 2 reps. This is the Advanced Engines, which is...
Actually, the new Kara comes from Tier 4.
Okay, Tier 4, my bad. So, most of them come from the Tier 2. My bad. So, the Advanced Engines comes from the Delta rep. Then we have Advanced Targeting Systems for free severity from Dyson. Then we have the Precision for free crit hit chance from the Romulan rep. And then the Aux Power Offense from the new Kara, which is going to play nicely with his Aux Power as well. For active reputations, we have Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity. This is still a very nice and fun little ability to play with, even after the changes in Season 13. We also have the Biomolecular Shield Generator. This is a very nice defensive power. It is that green ball-looking thing you see people use in certain missions like ISA. Then we have Quantum Singularity Manipulation. This is a very nice buff to your science powers. And in fact, the combination that we like to use, myself and Kirby especially, is to use our Quantum Singularity Manipulation first, and any other exotic buffs that we want to throw in. Then we'll follow up with maybe a Gravity Well, or our Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity in this case. And in the case of this build, our Drain Powers. Everything when we want to go for that full-on science nuke. And then finally we have the Deploy Sensor Interference platform. This is a nice little emergency power. This will taunt off of you and to the little satellite. Maybe you need to buy yourself a few seconds to heal. Maybe you want to just not take damage for a couple of seconds. Whatever it is. But that's what we have as far as traits and everything goes. Now looking over the notes, I did tell where to get everything. Now, our mid-range builds, we always assume a maximum EC spending limit of 30 million energy credits. We also assume enough dilithium to take one single item up to epic quality. And everything else must be free after those limits have been reached. You can see here how much everything actually costs. We've got the ablative shell, the self-modulating fire, the cocoon, the console. Now we spent 28.4 out of our 30 million EC, so that leaves about 1.6 million left. Then as far as the lithium cost for the consoles go, we've got the 15,000 for the assimilated module, 15,000 for the 0 point. Then we also have the 5,000 for the restorative particle focusers. Now they're 2,500 dilithium a pop, and then we're using 2 of those. It comes out to 35,000 dilithium total. So you're looking at a build time of about 5 days due to dilithium refinement limits and everything. But anyways, fairly easy to put together ship and everything, I like to think. But overall, this should give a decent amount of science abilities as well as some decent firepower off of the weapons as well. But anyways, that's what we have for our budget build for this week. You know, if there's budget builds you'd like us to do for you guys out there, feel free to let us know in the comments section and everything. Say, you know, hey, I'm looking for this type of ship and everything. This is the type of budget I've got. It's a bare bones, or it's a mid-range, or I'm looking for something more high-end. And let us know, and we'll see what we can't come up with for you guys and everything. That's why we're here, is to help out as much as we can. But moving along to the Bugs Corner, there's actually a couple of interesting ones and everything that I did want to touch base with for you guys. Now, as far as the bugs go and everything, now this is one that we had a little bit of trouble with here on PC, so I'm kind of curious if it's affecting you guys over there on console as much. Now, there is a guy saying that he can't equip more than one of the Tetrion Omnis. So, by that I'm assuming he means like the Crafted Omni and then something such as the one from the Butterfly mission or the competitive thing. Now, he's saying that, from the way I understand it, he can't equip more than one, period. Now, the way it's supposed to work is you can have either the competitive beam or the butterfly beam, because both of those count as mission rewards, and then you can have the Crafted Omni. The kinetic cutting beam, of course, is the exception because it's not really an energy weapon. But, anyways, if you're on console, if you're having that particular issue, you know, please let them know and everything, because that's something I want to know about. Everything. That is supposed to be something that's been fixed, and PC guys out there, if you're seeing that as well, please let them know, because that's a pretty hefty break if that's still going on. And then, finally, another console bug and everything. There is someone stating that the dynamic defense deployment system on the Moog cruiser doesn't work on the Moog or the Kurak battle cruiser as far as being able to auto-execute and everything from the wheels. So that's pretty nasty of a bug. So if you are seeing that, again, please let them know. They don't like these bugs any more than you or I do. They want to get stuff fixed as quick as they can. Now, if you guys do have bug reports for console, for PC, feel free to come onto the forums and everything. The devs do read the bug reports and everything, and then weirdos like me that actually agree to help them out and everything as a bug hunter. Yeah, I'm apparently a glutton for punishment, according to Kirby.
Yes, you are.
But, yeah. So if you've got bug reports, feel free to come on, let them know. This is actually where a lot of my bug reports come from, is from the forums, as well as where the devs pick up a lot of stuff as well. But just come on, say, hey, this is the platform I'm on, I'm having this issue. If you've got videos, if you've got screenshots showing it off, that's even better. And Dragon says that is what bug sprays are for. And believe me, dude, every time I break out a can of Raid and try to spray for bugs in this game, about 1,000 more crop up. So...
Yep. Keep telling him he needs to invest in Raid, but, you know.
Apparently. But,
and then the next day we go, Chris, we broke it.
They're good at that. I'm convinced it's a game between those guys. Whoever can make me go insane the fastest wins.
Oh, we've told you. It's straight up his.
Yeah.
Timber's like giving us rewards for who can do it fastest.
Yeah. They don't tell me what the rewards are either, so... And if I don't crack, then, well, they don't get crap, so... Yeah. But in seriousness and everything, if you do have bugs to report and everything, you know, feel free to come onto the forums. If you know my tag in-game, you're welcome to message me and say, hey, you know, aren't you the bug hunter dude? Can you pass this along? You know, feel free to drop a message to Kirby, to Neela, to Artie, any of those guys. They'll pass it along as well.
Yep. And
see to it that I get it. But we do want to get this stuff fixed for you guys. So if you are having issues, then let us know. But, anyways, that's what we've got for the Bugs Corner this week. Moving along to our final segment of the evening, we have Teacher's Corner. What have you got for us this week, Teacher?
Well, this will be our last summer event-themed Teacher's Corner this year. So we have floaters and power boards. It dawned on me I'd never talked about floaters and power boards and where to get them and which one is best and blah, blah, blah. And so everything you ever want to know about floaters, flowers, floaters, and power boards, but we're afraid to ask. So I go over which ones are best, why you're going to choose this one over that one, how things are different, how they're the same, because there are quite a few floaters that are exactly the same. And people think that, no, it's better to get this anyway. And same thing with power boards. So I go over all of that, take the mystery out of them for you, and let you know what I think the best thing to do is. If you don't have any floaters or power boards yet, what I think is the best way to get yourself up to the best ones from nothing. So there you go.
Yeah. If you're still out there, you still want to have some fun on Risa and everything, I definitely advise checking this video out. That is one very big misconception a lot of people have, is certain boards that do exactly the same thing being better than the other, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
anyways, we will have a link to Teacher's video. I highly advise you guys checking this out and everything, especially if you're somebody that enjoys those types of events. But anyways, that's our final segment of the evening for this week and whatnot. Hope you've enjoyed the show and the information that we've been able to provide. Now, as always, if you would like to see us out at Las Vegas and everything, that's coming up within the next month or two and everything. We do still have our GoFundMe active. If you want to see more impromptu interviews and everything, maybe Kirby will get to snag Garrett Wong again. Maybe
right?
she'll get to snag some others. Yep.
I'm going to try. We already have we have a long list, so we're going to narrow it down to a short list of who we kind of want to talk to. So I'm going to be hustling my butt out there in my little scooter in 2 weeks. It's going to be 2 weeks, man. Coming close, because we get there August 1st. And the convention starts August 2nd in the evening. So August 2nd through August 6th, I will be hustling, trying to get people for us to talk to for you guys. So you can, so you can meet them and hear stuff about them and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to bring the Vegas experience to you over the internet.
Yep. Yeah, if you'd like to help us out with some of the expenses and everything, we do still have the GoFundMe, I believe, at the moment. Everything, every little bit helps and everything, even if it's just spreading the word. And we are grateful for any and all help you guys are able to give in that department. Everything, even, like I say, if it's just spreading the word, because we wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for you guys out there. But if you'd like us to help assist with your piloting and everything, as it's the original intent of the show as well, feel free to let us know. Say, hey, I'm a tank, I want to get a little bit more out of this ship, or I'm a DPS, I'm looking to improve in this area. You know, send us a video clip showing us what you've got going on. We'll see if we can't help you there in that area. But also, a shout out to our good friends over at the Temporal Armada. Very cool group of guys, have a very good radio show. Definitely advise checking those guys out and everything. Also, proud partner with the Kurtang Pirate Radio. The party is there. Definitely go check those guys out as well. But, anyways, folks, that's what we've got for this week. Hope you all enjoyed the fun and the shenanigans. Hopefully Artie and Neela are able to join us again next week, and Neela didn't fall asleep at his computer. Not that I would throw him under the bus again. Okay, I totally would. But
I think the bus is smashed his desk and cracked his ribs and no.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get the Neela pickup
okay,
crew.
But yeah.
Yeah.
We hope Neela's okay, but yeah, we don't know what happened.
I'm gonna go with aliens.
We're just gonna say he's missing, and if you find him, please turn him into the lost and found.
But anyways, folks, we hope you've enjoyed our show this evening. We know there wasn't really a lot as far as articles and everything. Been kind of a slow couple of weeks leading up into the new 13.5. But anyways, we hope to see you all next week and everything. And for now, this is the Pilot Review Show, and we are warping out of here.